Here are the three vapes. One of them says that it contains nicotine, the other two don't say anything about nicotine, but you think that there's nicotine in all of them, right?
Working out what's inside a vape first requires cracking one open.
Try to break it open. There we go. So that's the battery, the coil, the electronics that control the side panel.
Eventually you get to the vape liquid, a visceral insight into what users are inhaling.
A lot of e-liquid juice coming out of that.
The cloying odour of the highly perfumed liquid permeates the lab.
So the flavour by far are fruity, lolly, sweet connotations.
During her career, Celine Kelso from the University of Wollongong has analysed more than 1,500 vapes.
That's way too many chemicals for the machine to handle, so we have to dilute it down, and that's what I'm doing right now.
They contain more nicotine than earlier generations of vapes. She says from 2019 to now, the maximum dose of nicotine has increased 5-fold.
So you get a 5 times higher concentration of nicotine in your bloodstream, which means that you get exposed to a higher concentration and your body will crave nicotine more.
Nicotine releases dopamine, causing a brief pleasure response, quickly replaced by desire for more nicotine. Matteo did not vape when he first arrived in Australia 2 years ago.
I saw that everyone was doing vaping here. It's like very common. So I asked like, I want to try, and then after I say, unfortunately it tastes good and it's not heavy like cigarettes. I know what I'm doing, I know that it's not right, and I know how addictive it is.
Nicotine acts on the part of the brain that tells us if we're happy or sad, anxious or depressed or otherwise content. And huge fluctuations in the amount of nicotine in our system cause that system to go into disarray.
In 2018, 1.6% of 14 to 24-year-olds said they used vapes. Last year, the rate was 17.4%. More teenagers and young adults vape than smoke cigarettes, and the vapers are taking in much more nicotine than all but the heaviest smokers.
Vaping has introduced the possibility of exposing oneself all day and all night, whereas kids just can't smoke that much.
I started vaping when I was about 22, so about 4 years. Yeah.
And how much would you say you do it?
I go through one disposable vape every 4 days, so a lot, yeah.
And how many puffs are in one of those things?
I think 5,000, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know how. I have no idea how much nicotine is it.
Yeah, well, it's a lot. Yeah, I'm a pretty full-on vapor. I vape first thing in the morning, last thing at night.
A 5,000 puff device contains the same amount of nicotine as about 15 packets of cigarettes. The 3 vapes tested by Celine Kelso were bought over the counter from a tobacconist.
Putting the sample through to the sampler.
She assessed them for the presence of prohibited ingredients known to have adverse health effects and to determine the nicotine level. She found no banned chemicals, but lots of nicotine, which should only be available in products sold in pharmacies.
As soon as nicotine-containing devices became illegal, the word nicotine disappeared from the packaging. The devices still contain nicotine, but the advertising for them on the packaging was not there.
One of the most significant impacts of nicotine is on sleep. Doctors are seeing more young patients with sleep problems.
So one of the issues we see with the kids who are highly dependent is they're sleeping with the device under their pillow or next to their bed. And when they wake up or stir during the night, they're having an additional amount of nicotine. And that's an excitatory chemical, exactly what you don't want when your brain needs to sleep. Sleep disruption, sleep fragmentation, leads to poor sleep quality, sleepiness during the day, poor academic performance.
So low mood and depression associated with insomnia is pretty common. And then with the use of vapes and their causing sleeplessness, we get lots of anxiety as well, which in itself is a trigger of further sleeplessness.
Vapes are supposed to be sold at pharmacies and come in mint, menthol or tobacco flavours only. And that's partly to reduce their appeal to children. You don't need chemical analysis to know that most vapes breach that requirement.
So the 3 devices that were analysed today were called Cool Fanta, Blackberry and Watermelon. And that's really on par with the trends that we've seen since we did start that studies of vaping products on the market, that most of the product will be either fruity or sweet connotation flavoured names or types.
The testing showed 2 of the devices contained synthetic coolants to reduce throat irritation from nicotine consumption, to allow a user with a raw throat to continue vaping. Health experts do not yet understand the long-term impact when you inhale these coolants or flavours, let alone the byproducts of everything else jammed inside a vaping device.
To look inside these devices is scary. Firstly, you've got the toxic liquid. Secondly, the toxic liquid is superheated into new chemicals at 300 degrees. The little element there, which must cost 1/10 of a cent, fragments and the metal decays, and that gets breathed into the lungs. And the sponge itself, no one knows really what happens to the sponge when it's superheated and what chemicals it produces. It's just an extraordinary, poorly engineered device producing a range of chemicals that no one should want to be exposed to.
There are early indications that vaping is carcinogenic. It's just too new a phenomenon to be certain. It took 20 years for scientists to work out that cigarette smoking caused cancer.
With smoking, we saw the cancers first, and then the laboratory science explained why those cancers developed. With vaping, we're seeing the laboratory science first that predicts cancer, which is one of the reasons why we've got to work so hard to reduce or eliminate vaping.